Living with another person comes with all sorts of challenges on its own. So how do people go with living with another person in small spaces? Well, I'm gonna share my experience today. I spent the last about 5 years living with my boyfriend in a studio apartment. And then, like the crazy people that we are, we decided that wasn't enough, and we spend most of our free time exploring Australia in our self-converted camper van that also doubles as my boyfriend's work van. Yeah, we're that kind of crazy. Like, living in a studio apartment with another person already has its challenges, but a van takes it to a whole other level. And if you are interested in seeing our travels, we have a whole other channel dedicated to just that. I'm also really excited because we just moved out of our studio apartment and we literally get our keys tonight to our new place. Ooh, I'm gonna have a bedroom door, y'all, okay? I'm gonna have a bedroom door. No one can tell me nothing, okay? I have a bedroom door now, okay? I'm a new woman. If you have an actual bedroom, you know, like with a door, let me tell you, you've probably been taking it for granted, because to me, that sounds like luxury, baby. Luxury, okay? Okay, so in this video, I'm going to share the very real parts and borderline TMI parts of living in small spaces with another person. But I also want to share some things that have helped me along the way, because if you are in that situation, I got you, I get you, I feel you. I feel you. If you are or have been in that situation, you might have some tips that might help someone else out. So don't gatekeep. We do not gatekeep over here. Drop them in the comments. We can all win and thrive, okay? We can all just enjoy our spaces, okay? Okay, 1, if you like your alone time, baby, it's gonna be a struggle. It's gonna be a struggle. It can just be really hard to get your alone time. In our relationship, we both value our alone time. So there were moments where we were both feeling just like I love spending time with you, but I need to decompress. And that's fine to say. And I think that that's a healthy to say in a relationship. Like, I just need some me time. And anyway, that's a whole other video. But it can be really hard to get it when you are limited in the space to get it. You know what I mean? Unless you're like physically having to leave the house. But for us, like Sundays, neither of us want to leave the house. We're in chill mode. So we would find little nooks in the house to just have our alone time and just put headphones on. And we would come back together and have dinner and be like, I just had a beautiful day of me time and I'm so excited to hang out with you. But sometimes it just feels like you're on top of each other, and that is the reality. Another reality is that depending on your setup, if one person is up and doing things, then everyone's up. This was true for me in a studio with no bedroom door. So if my boyfriend was getting up for work in the gym at 4:35 a.m., guess who was listening to him get ready for the gym? Guess who was listening to him after his workout, making his smoothie and making his breakfast and getting his stuff together? Guess who was just listening to it all while she was trying to sleep at 5 a.m.? Me. And like, sometimes I could sleep through it, but a lot of times it would just wake me up and I would just be up and I would be annoyed and I'd be miserable. I just get grumpy. It starts my day off on the wrong foot. You know, like I have my alarm set and then I'm like, what's the point? What's the point? And then when it comes to living in the van, if you want to get up and make breakfast, everyone's getting up because we have to turn our bed into a couch so that we can sit down and use our kitchen. So it's like, good morning, honey, we are up. I'm hungry. Like, let's go. Turn this into a couch because your girl's hungry. I'm gonna talk more like about the studio apartment, but van life is a whole other beast, okay? It's a whole other beast. So if you already hate living in a studio apartment, 10 out of 10, do not recommend getting a van and living with your partner in it. It just can be inconvenient at times, and like we made it work for all those years. Like, we probably could have moved way sooner, but we didn't. We were comfortable where we were, even though it was annoying and inconvenient. So like you learn to like live in it, but it's not the most ideal situation. Sometimes one of you just wants to sleep in, and that's just the reality. And then when it comes to the bathroom, girl, you get over any like, oh, I don't want to fart in front of him real quick. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say, because you hear everything. Like, you can't hide it. Our bathroom was like, there was 2 doors to get into our bathroom, but because the space was so small, you hear everything. If someone's sick, someone's got a stomach bug, romance is dead. It just gets real quick. And then take that to a van, and it's just a whole other level. Like, we have a toilet in our van, And our van ain't huge, okay? So you're either stepping outside, or if it's raining, sitting in the front seat. Again, you're hearing things. You're hearing things that you probably didn't want to hear coming out of your partner, okay? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to smell it. I don't want to be near it. But that's just the reality. Like, things get real quick. Let's just say, once I moved into the studio apartment with him, our honeymoon phase didn't last too long, okay? When we finished our camper van, we were already pretty used to it. It was just on a even, like, smaller scale, so it still was uncomfortable, but you learn to live with it. If you've done van life, you just know. If you know, you know. Here are some of my tips for making it more of an enjoyable experience. And you didn't ask for my tips, but you did click on this video. So, embrace the cozy. Living in such a small space, like, automatically makes things feel more cozy because there ain't much space. So you're there. This is the room. We're in it. Embrace the close quarters and use it as an opportunity to create like a warm and cozy environment. I really had to hone this in over the years. When I first moved in with my boyfriend, he had basically a bachelor's pad, and it was just like an empty box with some like rotting reclining chairs that he got off the side of the road. And I had to turn that bachelor crusty pad into a home. And I did that over the last 5 years, and I'm done. I don't want to do that again. So anyway, sorry, I'm traumatized. Making it cozy, you know, I really loved having like rock salt lamps to just like make it just feel like a vibe. It almost can feel like a tent, like, you know, like I don't even know how to explain it, but like just leaning into embracing the cozy and making that place your little like Garden of Eden, like your little like paradise. Like, just lean into the smallness. There's so many ways, and I feel like these days, like the DIY vibes. Oh no, my battery's dying. So yeah, I feel like with like the DIY culture right now, it is like very easy to like upgrade your space in a cheap and affordable way and just make it a vibe. Make it a vibe. It doesn't matter if you just have like a tiny little places. I've seen so many gorgeous like homes and apartments that are just so small, but just there's so many ways to like make a place feel cozy and inviting and like just welcoming, that you like walk in your door and yeah, it's your tiny little place, but it's yours and it feels warm. It's just a vibe and you love being in it, and you're, you know, being creative with your use of space. Like, get into it. Like, embrace the cozy, okay? Embrace the cozy. Getting creative with your storage is, I ended up looking at it like a challenge. I'm like, ooh, how can I make something out of nothing? And I would be on Pinterest. I would look at all these little like tiny homes, see how they did things, because I had obviously, oh, not obvious, but I had more space than like a tiny home would, but I had to get creative with it. Like, oh, how are people setting up things in their kitchen for this? How can we do that? Like, I downgraded our silverware cutlery drawer to like from a big tray to like a streamlined tray, so it's just all in one line, and it opened up so much more room in that drawer for other utensils. I just feel like we're like in the peak of something right now when it comes to like organization, home organization and storage right now. It's like popping right now. So like, get creative with it, have fun with it. Like, I think that like if you're going into this like just hating your life because you live in a box, it's just going to be a fight every single day. But when you start embracing it, like, get creative with it, start the little challenge, like, how can I make something out of nothing? Like, it starts to become like a game, and it's like, well, if I gotta be here, then let's have fun with it. Let's create something. Let's make this a vibe. Like, have fun with it. Get into that zone, I'm telling you. Like, it can be very easy to like compare yourself to like people on Instagram with these big beautiful houses, but like, I'm telling you, embrace it, okay? There are plenty of us out here who are living in tiny places and absolutely thriving, honey. And you can be one of them, okay? You just gotta like switch the perspective and start embracing it, okay? It's a choice. Another thing that was really helpful was establishing designated zones. So for us, like, everything was like in a box. So there was no like walls, and so we had to have designated zones. Like, this is the bedroom. Like, the kitchen was its own separate area, but like, instead of just having things in other ways, like trying to have a place for everything and having designated zones. This is the bedroom, this is the lounge hangout area, this is like our office and all that kind of stuff. You can get really creative when you really start racking your brain and using the resources we have available for free. Like, come on now, designated zones. Just think that even in a small place, it can be so beneficial to have designated zones for different activities. A little reading nook, a dedicated work corner, like, or a little like exercise corner, like, you know, little things like that. It can really just make you feel 10 times better about your place. Especially in the van, like, our rule is like, everything needs a home. Everything needs to have a place where it goes away. Because if it doesn't have a place where it lives, then it ends up on the bed, it ends up on the floor, it ends up in the way, and it ends up as mess. Another thing is embracing minimalism, which I try, but I wouldn't identify as a minimalist. When you live in such a small space, you can't have a lot. So I think I have gotten better with like not being so attached with having like an unlimited amount of clothes in my wardrobe, even though I still have too many clothes. Okay, I still have too many clothes. But when we're like living in the van, I've gotten my wardrobe down and I just feel like I'm able to live with less. So it is helpful, but I also think like if you get creative with your storage, you can have the wardrobe, okay? You can get creative with it, and you don't have to be a minimalist, but it can help you feel less overwhelmed or less cluttered. But if you get creative with it, girl, do you, okay? Do you. Ooh, big one, and I like feel like I learned this late, but was taking advantage of vertical space. So like if you have a shelf, like there's those little like slide on hooks where you can like hang mugs above the other cups that are sitting there. Like anything that's going to help you use up your vertical space is going to give you so much more room to store things, to put things. It's amazing. Like all the things, I'm like, I didn't even know half these things existed. And there's so many things. There's so many like organization hacks that like help you use up vertical space. So like if you have not been on the vertical space game and you live in a small space, get Googling, baby, get Googling, because I'm telling you, it's gonna change your life. When it comes to like the relationship part of it, I feel like as important as it is to like have your alone time and to make designated time to have your alone time. And again, that's why I think that having the designated zones are so important, but also embracing shared activities together, I feel like, again, can just help you embrace the cozy vibes and just doing stuff together in your place. I feel like it can be really easy to follow in this mindset of like, you want to do everything outside of your place because it is so small. But if you can embrace, like maybe start a little like veggie garden, a vertical veggie garden, there's so many like things that I've seen, like people just getting so creative with their small apartments, like growing a veggie garden on their balcony and like tiny balconies as well. Like I feel like when you start embracing it, that unlocks everything else because it allows you to be more open to ideas and creativity. But when you're closed to it and you're like sitting in this negativity of like, I hate my space, it's negative, I never want to spend time here because I don't like it and all that kind of stuff, it just keeps you closed to even finding the ideas to make it better or shifting that situation. You know what I mean? Like you can only get as far as your mindset will let you. So being more open-minded is going to go a long way here, okay? With anything in life. The next thing I kind of just touched on is just like making the most of any outdoor space. So if you do have any outdoor space, if you're lucky to have any outdoor space, I know that there's a lot of apartments out there that don't have any outdoor space. So if you do have outdoor space, just making the most of it. Like I feel like a lot of this is just like making the most of what you do have instead of focusing on what you don't have. And I just like embrace the adventure of living in a small space. Like it really can be an adventure and a challenge and an obstacle, but it can allow you to just tap into that creativity and just create a space that you love. It might not be your ideal dream space, but it can still be a space that you love. Embrace the uniqueness of your situation. Learn to laugh off of the occasional obstacles that come along with it. And try focusing more on the positives and what you can control versus all the things that you have no control over. The most important thing isn't the size of your space. It's what happens within that space, the love that's created in that space, the happiness, the purpose. All those things are what actually matter. And the space is just where it's cultivated. So just remember that along the way. Like, that's what really matters at the end of the day. I feel like we can get so caught up in this culture of social media where everyone's posting their perfect homes and they're like, oh, cleaning my messy home and it's spotless, and you're like, that's messy? Like, and you just get caught in the comparison game. And, you know, I've been guilty of it as well when I was living in our studio, you know, but you just have to remember that this is just where you're at, and like, there's no point in comparing yourself to someone else's house. Like, yes, that's something you can work towards if that's what you want, but this is where you're at right now, and that is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with you. It doesn't mean anything about you or who you are as a person. It's just where you're at and the cards you've been dealt. And that's why I think it's just so important to embrace that this is where you're at, and that's okay. And it doesn't mean anything about you as a person. It's just where you're at, and you get to make it what you want. So embrace it, make it what you want, make it cozy, have the designated workspaces, make sure you're getting your alone time in, but also find some shared activities and all the other things that I've listed in this video. Anyway, do you live in a small space? Do you have a bedroom door? If you do, I am so jealous. Like, I am so jealous. Were any of these tips helpful for you? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing, and I hope to see you tuning in to another video soon. Bye! Oh my god, I'm moving! I can't believe it. I'm moving. We're getting the keys tonight. Okay, bye!